The British monarchy has long operated behind an unshakable wall of secrecy, guided by the centuries-old principle, never complain, never explain. But in 2026, that wall appears to be under its greatest threat in generations. This is no ordinary media storm or social media controversy. It has evolved into a potentially explosive legal conflict that could shake the foundations of the royal succession itself. At the center of the controversy are two powerful figures in investigative commentary, Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower. For months, both have hinted at information they claim could seriously damage the public image carefully built around the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Recently, however, the speculation escalated dramatically when Lady Colin Campbell delivered a direct challenge on camera with 4 unforgettable words: "Let him sue me." It wasn't said as a dramatic soundbite. It was presented as a calculated challenge, one that could potentially force Prince Harry and Meghan into a legal battle they may not want to fight. To understand why this situation has become so intense, it's important to understand who these individuals are. Lady Colin Campbell is far more than a royal commentator. She has spent decades moving within aristocratic and royal-connected circles, developing deep knowledge of how these institutions operate behind closed doors. She understands the traditions, the power structures, and the unwritten rules that govern royal life. Tom Bower, meanwhile, has built a reputation as one of Britain's most relentless investigative biographers. His work is known for detailed research, extensive interviews, and aggressive scrutiny. His book, Revenge, wasn't simply celebrity gossip. It was presented as a carefully documented examination of the Sussex story. When both Campbell and Bower begin focusing on the same issue, many royal observers take notice. And the issue they continue circling around is one of the most controversial topics imaginable: questions surrounding the births of Prince Harry and Meghan's children. At the center of the debate is a phrase that may seem insignificant to most people, but carries enormous weight in British constitutional tradition: born of the body. For centuries, eligibility for the royal line of succession has depended on this requirement. It exists to ensure absolute certainty regarding royal lineage. Critics have pointed to the wording used in various official announcements surrounding Archie and Lilibet's births. Instead of traditional language stating the children were born to the Duchess, some notices reportedly used wording interpreted as for the Duke and Duchess. To legal and constitutional observers, even a small shift in wording can trigger major questions. Lady Colin Campbell has argued that this unusual phrasing could imply the use of surrogacy arrangements that were never publicly disclosed. If such claims were ever proven true, critics argue it could raise constitutional questions about succession rights. The scrutiny doesn't stop with wording alone. Questions have also emerged about the medical transparency surrounding the births. Historically, royal births have followed a highly public process. Doctors involved are typically identified, official notices are signed, and medical confirmation has traditionally been part of protecting public confidence in the succession. But according to critics, the Sussex births appeared unusually private by royal standards. Public observers noted the absence of some of the ceremonial and medical disclosures that had accompanied previous royal births. Investigators and commentators claim attempts were made to verify standard records and documentation, but they describe encountering unusual silence and limited publicly available information. Online speculation intensified further because of widely circulated video clips and photographs from Meghan's pregnancies. Some social media commentators, including individuals claiming medical experience, questioned certain movements, appearances, and physical details shown in public footage. Clips from events such as the fashion awards and public appearances in high heels became heavily analyzed online, with critics arguing that some moments looked inconsistent with a typical pregnancy. It's important to note that these claims remain heavily disputed and largely based on interpretation rather than verified evidence. However, supporters of the theory argue that when these observations are combined with the wording controversy and missing traditional disclosures, they create a pattern they believe deserves closer examination. This is exactly why Lady Colin Campbell's challenge has generated so much attention. If Prince Harry were to launch a defamation lawsuit, the legal process could trigger discovery, a phase in which both sides may be compelled to provide documents, communications, and evidence under oath. According to commentators discussing the possibility, that could potentially include medical records, private correspondence, and testimony from individuals involved in the births. In a courtroom, narratives alone are not enough. Evidence becomes everything. For critics of the Sussexes, this is why they believe a lawsuit is unlikely. Legal proceedings could move the conversation away from media strategy and into verifiable documentation. Meanwhile, pressure is also mounting from another direction entirely: the ongoing legal dispute involving Meghan's half-sister, Samantha Markle. The case in Florida has drawn increasing attention because Meghan could reportedly face formal deposition questioning. Unlike a television interview, a legal deposition involves detailed questioning under oath, where inconsistencies can become highly significant. Observers believe attorneys could explore timelines, family claims, and public statements connected to the broader Sussex narrative. Behind the scenes, reports suggest the ongoing scrutiny has created mounting stress within the Sussex camp. Prince Harry has long expressed deep frustration with media intrusion, but critics argue this situation differs because the debate now revolves around legal interpretation, constitutional rules, and documentary evidence, rather than paparazzi coverage. One particularly discussed moment involved an interview where Harry appeared to misspeak about how much the baby had changed in 2 weeks, before Meghan corrected him to 2 days. While likely insignificant on its own, critics seized on the exchange as another example fueling public skepticism. This has led many observers to ask a central question. If the accusations are entirely false, why not shut them down completely? Critics argue that a single detailed clarification, official documentation, or transparent medical confirmation could potentially end much of the speculation. Instead, the Sussexes have largely relied on legal warnings and privacy arguments, an approach that some commentators believe has only intensified public curiosity. The stakes are enormous because the Sussex brand extends far beyond royal titles. Their commercial partnerships, media projects, and global reputation are deeply connected to their public image as truth-tellers, challenging the establishment. If serious contradictions were ever legally proven, the damage to their credibility could be devastating. That is why many believe Prince Harry is unlikely to risk a courtroom battle over these allegations. Once legal discovery begins, control over the narrative may no longer belong to him. At the same time, the silence from Buckingham Palace has become a story of its own. King Charles III has remained noticeably distant from the controversy. While the Prince and Princess of Wales frequently appear publicly with their children, Archie and Lilibet have largely remained outside the traditional royal spotlight. Some interpret this as a simple desire for privacy. Others see it as a strategic effort by the monarchy to avoid becoming directly entangled in any future controversy tied to the succession debate. As legal deadlines approach, the tension surrounding the story continues to grow. Supporters of Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower believe mounting pressure will eventually force answers into the open. Critics of the Sussexes argue that public patience is fading and that people increasingly want documentation rather than carefully managed messaging. But the deeper question remains: what if the reality is more complicated than anyone realizes? Some analysts speculate the secrecy may not have been about constitutional concerns alone, but also about media control and future commercial opportunities. Tom Bower has suggested that the extreme privacy surrounding the births may have been connected to strategic media positioning and exclusive storytelling rights. If true, critics argue it would suggest the Sussexes approached royal status not only as a family role, but also as a business asset from the very beginning. As the controversy continues, Lady Colin Campbell's challenge still hangs over the entire debate.
Every day without legal action strengthens the perception among supporters that her claims are being avoided rather than confronted. The Sussexes wanted the chance to tell their version of events to the world, but now many believe the battle may eventually shift from documentaries and memoirs into courtrooms and legal records, where narratives are tested not by public opinion, but by evidence.